Hi, my name is Roxanna Islam, and I am Head of Sector and Industry Research at TMX VettaFi. Welcome to the Road to Exchange. Today, we're talking to Marguerita Cheng, CEO of Blue Ocean Global Wealth. Marguerita, how are you doing today? It's good to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
So, Margarita, you and I have actually never met in person. Hopefully, we can at Exchange, which is less than a month away, March 23rd to 26th in Las Vegas. But very excited to talk to you here today, though. One thing I've always noticed is how personal you tend to be, and you have a lot of great stories and advice. So, let's just start with what led you to founding Blue Ocean Global Wealth? What are some of the things that you think set you apart?
Well, thank you so much for that. It really means a lot to me because personal finance is just that personal. But what prompted me to start Blue Ocean Global Wealth is I am very passionate and committed. You can be passionate about something and be committed, and you can be committed to something and lose your passion. So I am passionate and committed to uh, doing my part to help expand access and awareness to competent ethical advice. I believe at my core that everyone deserves competent ethical financial advice, regardless of the age and stage where they are. Yeah, it shouldn't depend on the size of your portfolio. So that's something that was really important to me. So it doesn't mean that I couldn't do that at my former employer, but I felt being independent allowed me flexibility to be able to serve my higher purpose.
Yeah, and I think that's very interesting because when you think about financial planning or even financial advisory, it's actually very comprehensive. You're not just looking at a portfolio of stocks and bonds, you're looking at various aspects of someone's financial life. And some of that is actually very personal. So tell us about the sort of relationship a planner has with a client. Why do you think this relationship is important?
So I think people do business with those they like and trust, right? For someone to trust you, they have to feel that they are seen, heard, and respected. And there's going to be times where you don't necessarily see eye to eye with the clients, but there's respectful and empathetic ways in which you can deliver that message. So I can share an example with you. This happened very recently. I was working with a couple, and their age difference is 14 years, very similar to my parents. This is a situation where they wanted to do extensive remodeling to age in place. However, withdrawing a significant amount from the portfolio may not have been in the client's best interest. Now, what's interesting is I don't even manage these clients' portfolio. They hired me to do financial planning. And the reason why withdrawing so much money from someone's portfolio may not make sense is it isn't just because there's a 14 years age difference. It's because that if they do take too much out, we need to think about the impact of taxes. Increased tax burden means that determine the Medicare premium 2 years later. So that's exactly what I mean. Financial planning isn't just looking at the today, but understanding how the decisions today affect tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great example. Earlier you mentioned something about accessibility and making financial planning and advisory more accessible. I think that's a common theme I've been hearing in the industry. And that accessibility, that spreads to whether it's you're a woman, a younger generation, or even a small business owner. So, what are some of the ways that you've helped try to make financial planning more accessible?
Thank you so much for that question. How I make financial planning more accessible is instead of imposing, asset minimums and having one business model, I focus on financial planning. So what that means is someone who has the capacity and propensity to save and invest can still access quality financial planning advice because they are working with me in a fee arrangement, a financial planning fee arrangement. That is very important for people. Just to give an example, is some clients are in their 40s today. That is not old, but they started working with me when they're 32 and 34, respectively. If I had the type of business model, and I understand this might not be for everybody, where if I told the clients you can only work with me if you have certain amount to invest, they might not be able to work with me. They started working with me in a financial planning arrangement. And I'm here to tell you, yes, there's been a couple rollovers, but most importantly, I have been able to serve that client for, gosh, it's been like 14 years. And I think that working with people in a financial planning arrangement has made that possible. And I would feel terrible if I said to somebody, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't work with you today. You don't meet my minimum. I would find that very troublesome. That's just me. I'm very sensitive and soulful. And clients have told me repeatedly that one of the reasons why they decided to work with me and my firm is because of that focus on financial planning. They truly feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's very important to me.
Yeah, and I think that's a great misconception to clear up. Is I think a lot of people think you have to be very wealthy in order to care about your money, but that's simply not true if you find the right planner, the right advisor. So it's clear you've been doing this for a while. You have a lot of good insights to share. How do you set yourself apart when there's so many people in that crowd?
I would say never stop learning, ask questions. Very, very important. Next, join the professional associations. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not include this one. This is the road to exchange. Take the opportunity to attend industry events and professional conferences. That's made a huge difference in my career. In fact, I attended my first conference 20 years ago. It's been almost 20 years. And I know it was kind of scary because I didn't know anybody. What makes it even super scary is I had just given birth to my third child. So I had never really been away from 3 kids. And no, my house did not burn down. I have just passed the CFP certification exam and earned permission to use the CFP marks. And then the last reason is like, I was leaving behind 3 kids, especially my baby. My baby was not even a year old. But I felt like who could say no to a conference in San Diego? I liked the topic. I liked the focus of that conference. So those are my top 3.
Yeah, and that's a great transition to sort of the ETF community exchange. So yeah, I know you're very involved in the financial community. So tell us what you like about the ETF community, because honestly, I feel like it's just a very unique pocket of the financial world.
Well, I love the ETF community because, just as I mentioned, I'm passionate about expanding access and awareness to competent ethical advice. ETFs truly democratize investment management, wealth management. The minimum is how much one share of an ETF costs. So, what I love about this conference in ETFs is there's a lot of innovation. You cannot come to a conference like Exchange and say, you know what, I didn't learn anything. I didn't meet any new people. Same old, same old. That is not the case. I mean, I'm always learning. And even if the strategy is not appropriate for that particular client, I can know with confidence they had an opportunity to meet issuers, whether that's in the exhibition hall or at networking or even in a breakout session. I find that incredibly valuable. To be able to take that knowledge back home when I'm working with clients is priceless.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's always something to learn. There's always someone to meet, especially when we're working in such a virtual digital world here. Well, Margarita, this was a great conversation. I hope we can actually meet face to face at Exchange. And for everyone watching, if you haven't registered yet, there's still time to do so. I hope to see you in Las Vegas too.